On behalf of the Ignite Honorary Committee, the Ignatian Solidarity Network, welcome to Ignite, a celebration of justice. My name is Vince Capone, Chair of the ISN Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us tonight in this virtual gathering of our community of faith. Please take a moment to enter a prayerful mindset as we welcome Mary Wardell Giraduzzi, Vice Provost for Diversity and Engagement and Community Outreach at the University of San Francisco and a member of the Board of Directors of ISN, to open our meeting with a prayer.
Creator God, we come to you tonight with tired but grateful hearts, minds, and bodies. As we gather this evening, fires and smoke ravage the land. Hurricanes have upended lives and homes. The COVID-19 pandemic still looms over our nation and world, and we are fighting for the lives, dignity, and basic human rights for Black and Brown communities. Yet, even in the midst of this, we find you, the God of resurrection and hope, the space to come together tonight in celebration and joy and thanksgiving for the work of justice that guides and sustains us through the turbulence of these times. We pray for the grace to continue to minister with a joyful heart in the midst of suffering and injustice, as Jesus modeled in the Gospels. For those marching and speaking out, for those fighting fires and providing relief from natural disasters, for healthcare and essential workers, for those assisting the forcibly displaced, and for our honorees, the Ignatian Solidarity Network, and countless others who dedicate their lives to building a more just world, we are grateful. We ask that you provide the sustenance that we need for this tirelessly laboring work. Be with us tonight as we join together in this virtual community of faith to celebrate the blessings you have granted us and help each of us to become rejuvenated, enlivened, and hopeful in the continued gospel call to a faith that does justice.
Again, welcome and thank you for being with us this evening, and thank you, Mary. I want to thank the members of our committee, our sponsors, and everyone who assisted in the planned execution of this event. Special thanks goes to our Magis level sponsor, Loretta Holstein, for her generous support of and the dedication of our work, and to our Loyola sponsors, the University of San Francisco, Ann McGovern and Kate Carter, and Santa Clara University. Tonight, we celebrate the work of justice, both of our honorees and of the Ignatian Solidarity Network. By being here tonight, you too are part of ISN's on a more just world. For 16 years, the Ignatian Solidarity Network has educated, networked, and formed advocates for social justice. I'd like to start the evening by sharing several key points about ISN. ISN is an independent lay organization that works in partnership with the Jesuits, their sponsored institutions, and the larger church. Through these partnerships, ISN engages a diverse network of individuals and institutions across the United States, including those most directly impacted by injustice and their allies, in addition to people from different generations, cultural and ethnic backgrounds, and political ideologies. These members of our network are passionate about working for justice through the lens of Catholic social teaching and the spirituality of St. Ignatius of Loyola. While the roots of our organization are in engaging young people, we have grown to walk with people at all stages of life through programs, campaigns, and networking. Today, we have over 100 member institutions in 35 states in the United States and Canada, including Jesuit and non-Jesuit universities, high schools, parishes, and partner organizations, and thousands of individuals engaged in our work. So what does our work look like? In this pandemic reality in which we are all presently living, our work includes a vibrant and robust online presence that lifts voices of lay people and religious alike through virtual programming, education and advocacy campaigns, blogs, news stories, social media campaigns, and more. We are most well known for the Ignatian Family Teach-In for Justice, the first annual Catholic Social Justice Conference in the United States, which convenes thousands of people each year, the majority under the age of 24, for a weekend of learning, networking, and advocacy. Another well-known entity in ISN is Education for Justice, a digital library including thousands of faith and justice resources suited for ministry and educational settings. EFJ has over 700 subscribing members across the US, Canada, and beyond. We are excited for the day when we can once again gather in person for our faith-based social justice leadership summits for high school and college students across the US, and professional development and formation programs for staff at parishes, high schools, and universities. Until then, these and other programs will remain virtual. All of this work centers around our call to combat injustice through integral ecology and racial justice, and by working for a more humane and just migration policy. This work is important as we hope that you will support this continued work. Please now help me welcome Cecilia Gonzalez Andreo, Professor of Theological Studies at Loyola Marymount University and a member of the ISN Board of Directors, as she tells you about this year's Fund Our Future opportunity.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Gonzalez Andreu, and I'm proud to serve on the Board of Directors for the Ignatian Solidarity Network, our beloved ISN. I teach at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, where I've been serving our undocumented student community and working on issues of immigration for years. This evening, we just need to be super honest with you and tell you how urgent the work of ISN is to educate and advocate for just immigration policies. From our classrooms, to our parishes, to our partnerships with other organizations, to the halls of Congress. This is life and death work for countless families. And we need your help funding this effort so we can be catalysts in creating a culture of welcome, community, and care for those that are directly affected by migration inside our network and much beyond it. So you can donate tonight by visiting the link below, ixol.net/fund. Make a gift there. This year's Fund Our Future initiative has a $15,000 goal, and I would love for us to beat that. The fund will be used to provide continued resources to educate, uplift, support, and connect impacted young leaders like my extraordinary students in the movement for immigration justice. Funds will help grow our work to mobilize and advocate across the network for them to dream up and then effect needed changes at their institutions and within their communities. And the fund will also help to compensate and cover all kinds of costs, including travel, for these young leaders as they lead and participate in migration-related ISN programming. This funding will all additionally help for us to develop the Undocu Jesuit Network, which my students are really busy imagining, along with other young leaders around the country. This is a platform for young adults who are undocumented from across the entire Jesuit network. And there they can build community, share concerns, and seek advice in a space that's completely unconditionally safe for them. And I'm particularly proud of these young people. And I've witnessed the impact of us dreaming together as we have formed a virtual network to discuss, support, and then act on furthering the goal of educational access, leadership training, and emotional support. From frank conversations about the impact of this moment on their families, to brainstorming about graduate school, to preparing programming for their peers, and to receiving guidance for self-care and mental health. These young people are serving each other and serving their communities. Being able to connect across the national network nourishes their resolve and renews their creativity. This is their dream, and we want to support them and help them to reach it. And let's face it, every time that we reach one young adult, we reach a big family. At ISN, we know that we must have their voices at the table and their leadership in our institutions, in communities, and in our nation, and that your support will allow us to continue and expand this work. So if you can spare a little for their support, please donate tonight. Scan this QR code with your cell phone or go to exalt.net fund to make a gift. And please, on behalf of the many students and families that will benefit from your help, accept our thank you, our deep gratitude for your support of this important work. And we're very grateful that you are with us this evening.
Thank you, Cecilia. I hope that everyone will give consideration of giving some donation to help this important work. And now to the awards, as presented by ISN Executive Director Chris Kerr.
Moira O'Donnell had served as ISN's Executive Director for less than a year when she passed away unexpectedly at the age of 33. While her service to the Ignatian family was brief, her exuberance and passion for justice was and is inspirational. In her memory, the Moira Erin O'Donnell Emerging Leader for Justice Award honors individuals ages 23 to 33 who have received an undergraduate degree from a U.S. Jesuit university and demonstrated significant social justice leadership in their communities.
Good evening to everyone who has joined us across the country and beyond, especially our honorees. Tonight, we are excited to present Moira O'Donnell Emerging Leader for Justice Awards to Elena Habursky and William Rutt. Let me tell you a little bit about each of them. Elena Habursky is a 2013 graduate of the University of Scranton and earned her master's degree in migration and refugee studies at the American University in Cairo. Elena is currently in Egypt, but her mother was very excited to receive her award, as you can see in the photo there. She currently holds the position of project manager for the Refugee Entitlements in Egypt project at the Center for Migration and Refugee Studies at American University in Cairo. Elena previously worked with urban refugee communities in Jordan on a Fulbright fellowship and with Jesuit Refugee Services and Collateral Repair Project. Her photographic and written work has been published by the Oxford Monitor of Forced Migration, Mufta Magazine, America Magazine, and The Forward. Congratulations, Elena. And we're also happy to introduce our second O'Donnell Award recipient, Will Rutt. Will is a 2012 graduate of Creighton University. He currently serves as the Director of Ignatian Service and Advocacy at Brophy College Preparatory in Phoenix, Arizona. Will is a graduate of Brophy and holds a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of San Francisco. Here is Brophy Preparatory President and ISN board member Adria Ranke presenting Will with his award. During his time as an undergrad at Creighton, Will worked in the Father Schlegel Center for Service and Justice as a student staff member, where he first cultivated his love for advocacy and interest in migrant justice. During Will's tenure at Brophy, he co-founded a student group called the Brophy Culture Project, which provides a platform for student narratives that disrupt the singular narrative that permeates many Jesuit prep schools. For the past 3 years, Will has helped oversee Brophy's Dream On campaign, which empowers students to leverage their Catholic identity and utilize the power of narrative while seeking justice for those who are undocumented in the United States. Over the last year, Will has also assisted in the development and capacity building for community organizing across the Jesuits' West Coast province. Congratulations, Will. And I'd like all of you to join me tonight in congratulating Will and Elena. You can do this by commenting on Facebook or YouTube if you're watching on one of those platforms, to let Will and Elena know that you're out there, that you're celebrating with them despite this virtual reality that we're in. So they'd love to hear from you. Please share a comment of affirmation for Will and Elena as they receive this award. And now on to our next award, the Legacy of the Martyrs Award.
On November 16th, 1989, 6 Jesuit priests, their housekeeper, and her teenage daughter were murdered by a group of U.S.-backed soldiers in El Salvador's capital, killed for their commitment to upholding the dignity of the people of their country experiencing oppression. The Ignatian Solidarity Network bestows the Legacy of the Martyrs Award upon individuals and organizations who, through their work, have made significant contributions to sustaining the witness and legacy of the Jesuit martyrs and their companions.
All right, this evening we are excited to present the award to Pico, California. Pico, California is the largest multiracial, faith-based community organizing network in the state of California, connecting and leveraging the power of the people to impact broad systematic change. Pictured here, accepting the award on behalf of Pico, California, is co-director Joseph McKellar. Motivated by various prophetic traditions, Pico grounds their civic action and demands for change in moral and ethical principles. Pico uses a relationship-based organizing model to develop leadership and build capacity for civic engagement in communities throughout California. Established in 1994, Pico, California organizes in 73 cities, 35 school districts, and in more than 75% of the state's Senate and Assembly districts. Pico is comprised of 19 nonprofit organizations made up of 480 interfaith congregations, schools, and neighborhood institutions representing 450,000 families. Please join me in congratulating the staff and organizers of Pico, California. They're also watching this evening. They would love to see your comments and affirmations on Facebook and YouTube. Please feel free to share them right now and join us in congratulating Pico, California. And our final awards this evening are the Robert M. Holstein Faith Doing Justice Awards.
The late Robert M. Holstein was a former Jesuit, labor lawyer, loving husband and father, fierce advocate for social justice, and founder of the Ignatian Family Teach-In for Justice, the precursor to the Ignatian Solidarity Network. Bob was profoundly moved by the deaths of the 6 Jesuits and 2 laywomen killed in El Salvador in 1989, and chose to act on this sense of concern by non-violently protesting the U.S. military training of hundreds of Latin American soldiers who would carry out the killings of the Jesuits, their companions, and tens of thousands of innocent Salvadorans during the country's 12-year civil war. Bob envisioned mobilizing the Jesuit network to join him and a growing crowd each November at the gates of a U.S. military base to protest these actions, but also to create a teach-in where those connected to the Jesuit network could come together to learn, pray, and reflect on the legacy of the Salvadoran martyrs and what their story means for us today. He titled the gathering the Ignatian Family Teach-In, and with the help of his wife Loretta and friends, it began in a tent on the bank of the Chattahoochee River in Columbus, Georgia, and continues on today in Washington, D.C. The Robert M. Holstein Faith Doing Justice Award honors lifelong leaders for social justice, grounded in the spirituality of St. Ignatius of Loyola.
All right, and receiving the awards tonight are Father John Baumann and Sister Simone Campbell. I'd like to tell you about each of them, and it's a tremendous honor to do so. Let me tell you about Father John first. Father John Baumann is the founder of the Pacific Institute for Community Organization, or PICO, now known as Faith in Action, and current Director of Special Projects there. Faith in Action serves a national network of congregations and faith-based community organizations in over 250 cities in 22 states, and is developing organizations in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Rwanda, and Haiti. Father Baumann's award was presented by Ann McGovern, former Executive Director of ISN, and her wife, Kate Carter, continued supporters and friends of the Ignatian Solidarity Network. Father Baumann was born and raised in San Jose, California, and attended Bellarmine College Prep. Upon graduating, he joined the Jesuits. He was ordained in 1969 and holds degrees from Gonzaga University and Santa Clara University, and honorary degrees from Loyola Marymount University, the University of San Francisco, and Santa Clara as well. Faith in Action's mission to assist in the building of community organizations with the power to improve the quality of life of families and neighborhoods. During Father Baumann's tenure as Executive Director from 1972 to 2009, Faith in Action's national network of community organizations achieved significant successes in such areas as crime and safety, housing rehabilitation, educational innovation and reform, health insurance for the working poor, employment, and public improvements. The work of more than 1,000 local congregation-based organizations in cities across the country has improved the quality of life of over 1 million families. Congratulations to Father Baumann, and thank you for your significant commitment to faith and justice. Our next honoree is Sister Simone Campbell, who is the Executive Director of Network Lobby for Catholic Social Justice, a federal advocacy organization founded by Catholic sisters to lobby in Washington, D.C. for policies that mend the gaps in income and wealth in the United States. Sister Simone has led 6 cross-country Nuns on the Bus trips focused on tax justice, healthcare, economic justice, comprehensive immigration reform, voter turnout, and bridging divides in politics and society. Sister Simone wrote the famous Nun's Letter, considered by many as critically important in convincing Congress to support the Affordable Care Act in 2010, and is the author of A Nun on the Bus: How All of Us Can Create Hope, Change, and Community, as well as Hunger for Hope, Prophetic Communities, Contemplation, and the Common Good. She has received numerous awards, spoke at the 2012 Democratic National Convention, and prayed at this year's 2020 DNC. She has appeared on 60 Minutes, The Colbert Report, and The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And now we have a few other people who would like to congratulate Sister Simone and Father Baumann this evening. Please enjoy these messages from some very, very special guests.
It gives me great joy to congratulate you, John Baumann, my friend, my mentor, my Jesuit brother, on the Robert M. Holstein Faith Doing Justice Award. Bob Holstein, whom I had the privilege of knowing, was a fierce advocate for justice. Nothing would get in his way. And the same is true for you, though you're a very different person than Bob. You, in your quiet yet steady and strong way, have done so much to change our world, our church, a sense of justice, a sense of listening from below to the voices of people, of what keeps them up at night. I thank you for your founding of PICO, now Faith in Action, 48 years ago. I thank you for all the good work that organization has done and how it's changed my life, how it's helped me become a better leader. And I ask that you continue to just enjoy these days where people pour out their praise and their gratitude for you. Congratulations, John. You are a hero in my book and will always be. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Greg Boyle from Homeboy Industries. You know, the poet Wallace Stevens says, "We live in the description of the place, but not in the place itself." Well, John Baumann holds out for the place itself, and good for him and good for us. 46 years ago, I was trained as a community organizer under John Baumann's tutelage in Oakland, California at the Oakland Training Institute. It was my first foray in community organizing, and it wasn't my last, mainly because of John. He kept it kind and tender, and he lived as though the truth were true, and he consistently put first things recognizably first. Even when you bump into each other in community organizing, as people do, he always kept it calm and peaceful and balanced and centered, anchored in the God who loves us without measure and without regret. I'm so privileged to call him my brother, and on behalf of all of us, to thank him for not just living in the description of the place, but helping us imagine the place itself.
John Baumann, congratulations on the Robert M. Holstein Award. I can't think of a more deserving person than you to receive this award. Pope Francis recently said that faith is either missionary or it is no faith at all. He said faith takes us out of ourselves and towards others. Faith must be transmitted, not to convince, but to offer a treasure. And John, your entire life has been about moving towards others, going to the peripheries of the world, and accompanying people to discover their voice and find reason to become protagonists in creating a better future. I'll never forget my first Applegate retreat back in 2006, where hundreds of organizers and PICO staff come together during the summer for a week of reflection and growth and fellowship. And I was nervous as a first-year organizer. I was trying to make a good impression. I wore a collared shirt and slacks to my first day while everyone else was in t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops. And I introduced myself to you during happy hour, during the social, as it was called, after a day of workshops. And we both had Doers on the Rocks in our hands. And for the first time, I knew I was in the right place. And you told me during that first one-to-one that we had that, although PICO has grown and changed over the years since you founded it, you said one thing will always remain sacred, and that is the principle that organizing is about people. And you said, there's going to be many campaigns to wage over the years, many struggles for human dignity, some that will win and some that will lose. You said our organizations will change, we'll develop new tools for building power, and we'll dream bigger dreams. But one thing must always remain, and that is that organizing is about people and their awakening to their rightful place as change makers, in the long arc of the universe. So congratulations, John. Thank you for being one of my heroes, for creating opportunities for the next generation of Catholics to really build upon the foundation that you've laid, taking ourselves towards others, transmitting our faith, and offering the treasure of kinship and people power through faith-based organizing. So, salud, and congratulations, John.
Sister Simone, my big sister, congratulations, my love. This award, Faith Doing Justice, could not have gone to anyone more worthy. Your life is faith doing justice. You ignited the moral imagination of an entire generation of us with nuns on the bus. And since then, watching you lead, your courage, your ferocity, your wisdom, it has put breath in my body over and over again. Your friendship has been life-giving to me. I remember the last time we were together, we took a walk in our neighborhood arm in arm, and you were teaching me how to listen to the conditions in the country as if I was listening to the weather, and then letting lightning strike. That's what it looks like to have a prophetic offering, to have a prophetic voice. And I was listening very closely, and when we came back to my home, you then sat down on your knees with my 4-year-old son and proceeded to make paper dolls. And we laughed and laughed. And I realized that you were modeling for me. You were showing me that the labor for justice can be joyful, must be joyful if we are going to last. You have taught me how to find longevity in the struggle, how practices like contemplation and mindfulness and joy making are essential to sustain us in the long struggle. I had come to believe that laboring for justice with joy is the meaning of life. So thank you, my love. Congratulations. May you feel all of us at your side, cheering you on. We need your wisdom. We need your bravery. We need you to continue to light the way in a time that has never felt darker. So feel us at your side tonight and know that we love you so much. Keep going.
Congratulations, Sister Simone. I'm so pleased that you're receiving this award from the Ignatian Solidarity Network. The Faith Doing Justice Award is perfect for you. Your work with Network has just been such an incredible inspiration to so many of us, and it mirrors the work that the Ignatian Solidarity Network does with so many young people in colleges, especially the Jesuit colleges in our country. You are a partnership made for each other, and I am so thrilled to be able to be one of the first people to say congratulations, an award well-deserved, and an organization that I know you're going to love being associated with. God bless you and keep up the great work.
Good evening. It is an honor to send warm greetings to the leaders and activists at the Ignatian Solidarity Network's Ignite, a Celebration of Justice event, as you honor a true champion for justice and progress, Sister Simone Campbell. As I always say, thank God for Sister Simone. Her decades of leadership are a testament to the power of her faith, and we honor the motto of St. Ignatius of Loyola, for the greater glory of God and the salvation of humanity. Sister Simone has been an inspiration to so many, and to me, and an essential partner in our shared mission to lift up vulnerable communities and ensure the blessings of justice and equality that are enjoyed by all. Whether on her Nuns on the Bus tour or standing in solidarity with the Little Lobbyist, her vision and leadership help pass and protect the landmark Affordable Care Act, defend immigrant families, and ensure our budget is a reflection of our national values. In receiving ISN's Robert M. Holstein Faith Doing Justice Award, Sister Simone brings luster to this distinguished honor as she proudly carries on Robert's powerful legacy of progress. Sister Simone, on behalf of your many, many friends in Congress, it is my personal privilege to thank you for your unparalleled commitment to turning faith into action to build a brighter future for all. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition.
All right. Well, on behalf of everyone at ISN, Simone and John, I just want to say congratulations. It's such an honor to be with you tonight. I only wish we weren't doing it virtually and that we were in person in the Bay Area celebrating, but we're not. And so we can take advantage of this virtual reality. I just want to remind everyone out there that you can celebrate, affirm, congratulate Sister Simone and Father John with a comment there on Facebook or YouTube to lift up their work and in the name of and the legacy of Bob Holstein. So congratulations to you both. It's wonderful to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for this time. I wanted to just, we have a little bit of time to ask you some questions, and I feel like I'm in the presence of social faith and justice giants. So this is such an honor for me as well, and very humbling. I was curious to know, you've been doing this work for both of you for a long time in different iterations over time. And what was a point in your work over these years where you said success, like something really felt like it just, you hit it and you were really proud of what happened? Is there a point in time like that that's happened? Simone, we'll start with Simone. What do you think?
Well, I have to say that I was fairly naive But I thought when the Affordable Care Act passed, it was like this miracle, this amazing miracle, because we had worked so hard and negotiated, and you don't need all the political complexities of it, but it was so exciting. But I was so naive because you never win these things. Because immediately what happened was the beginning of the pushback and of the undermining. And nobody ever, you never can declare victory, I've discovered, because there's always some erosion, some slippery slope. And so while I enjoy that day, I remember it vividly. I remember our letter in support. I remember working with Sister Carol. It was fabulous. Hmm. But like 3 days later, they started trying to attack it, the erosion, all the problems that go with it. And now we're facing a very serious crisis. So maybe November something this
Mhm.
year, who we elect matters. Maybe I'll have a sense of victory. We'll see.
There you go. There you go. What about for you, Father John?
I think it's every day that I hear the what the people in our communities are doing across the United States and in El Salvador, Rwanda, and Haiti, and it just I get that's where I get my energy. And this award is really their award because they are the ones that are making community organizing work throughout here in the United States and in our international work. And so that's where I get my energy is seeing the people identifying what is very important for their families and that they are willing to come together, figure out a way of pushing our legislators to make a change. And it just that's what gives me energy and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. I think
Can
about
I piggyback on
go
that?
for it,
Because
Simone.
what I
Absolutely.
realized what I realized, John, as you're saying that, is that there's these moments maybe of victory, but that's not nourishment. What you're talking about is where are our roots. And in some ways, the victories are like a flower that blooms maybe for the day, but it's the roots. What nourishes your roots? That's
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And I totally relate. I totally get it. Yes.
And I think, in so many ways, like Simone, your ability to bring the stories from your time out on the bus back to Washington, D.C., right? To bring the voices of people impacted by policy across the country. And John, the way that PICO, really gets in and works directly with communities and uses, such a conversation-based model as a way to initiate and engage with communities. I think there's such synergy between the work that you do on two sides of the country, and you've been doing for many years on two sides of the country. Now, I said, I really feel, honored to be with you. I get inspired by both of your work and what you continue to do. But who inspires you? Who are people that have, maybe in your kind of formational years or later on in life who've really been inspiring, motivational to you, things like that?
Oh, well, I'll go because I've been thinking about this because the it's all those people that I do meet. But I was thinking of a young man that I met at a teach-in a few years ago, and he was a senior at one of the Jesuit high schools. I've forgotten where, and the teach-in was right after an election, and he had just voted for the first time. He was a senior, but what he had discovered at the teach-in was that he wished he had voted differently. And he came to me, kind of waited in line at the end after I'd done a presentation. He was the last one to come to me, and it was sort of like going to confession for him about what could he do? What could he do? And his discovery that not just following his parents or his grandparents was this moment of awareness, but he felt it as a failure as opposed to a door opening and a discovery for him. And so he taught me in that moment how important the teach-in is for opening doors for young people. And it's those kinds of discoveries. I don't know his name, but he inspired me. He inspired me to keep going because he was willing to walk through this door of his certitude to learn something new. Isn't that the best?
That's wonderful. What about for you, John?
Initially, it would have been Pope John the 23rd, I guess. Vatican II changed my life. And so that was a big inspiration for me. And then was able to get introduced to community organizing. And a person that was my mentor, Tom Gaudette, in the early days in Chicago, walked with me to help me learn organizing. And then, I think over the years, there have been many people that, especially staff that have supported the work that we're doing and to keep us going. And then I started with John the 23rd, and I would say with Pope Francis, ongoing inspiration for me to keep going because of the way he talks about what the church is about. I'm just so inspired by that.
Yeah. Simone, how has Pope Francis impacted your work at Network?
Well, do you know, today is the 5th anniversary of his coming to the U.S. He spoke at the White House 5 years ago today, and tomorrow is 5 years for speaking to Congress. But it's so critical. His leadership is so grounded in a spiritual journey and in nurturing that journey into caring for the earth, caring for the world, and ending the exploitation. So, okay, here's a little commercial for Network. So, we've created what we call the Equally Sacred Scorecard that scores the presidential candidates on what Pope Francis says is equally sacred to caring for the unborn. And what Pope Francis talks about is that caring for the unborn includes things like caring for the mother, caring for making sure that she has good nutrition and healthcare and access to housing and all of this. So it's much broader and equally sacred as caring for the marginalized, ending racism, caring for those who are hungry, those who are trafficked, the immigrant. So we've created what we're calling the Pope Francis voter, and your folks can go at popefrancisvoter.org and see the values of Pope Francis applied to the presidential candidates. It's really kind of fun.
And I'm sure offers a lot to think about as we prepare for this election. Yeah.
I have a quote right over my computer, and I just pulled it down. It's one sentence. This is Pope Francis. He says, "I prefer a church which is bruised, hurting, and dirty because it has been out on the streets, rather than a church which is unhealthy from being confined and from clinging to its own security."
A different way of looking at church, a new way of looking at church, right?
Well, it's actually the old way of looking at church. I mean,
There you
wasn't Jesus like that? I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't exactly neat and lacy with Jesus. So I figure we're just back to the future. That's all.
I got one for you. Favorite gospel reading? I want to see if you end up with the same one. I'm curious to see what happens here.
Okay, John, you have to go first.
Well, let's see. You're taking me. There are many. Probably, I like the one of the Good Samaritan, because as I think about it, when we talk about the road to Jericho, we're on that road every day, and we're meeting people that are poor and people that are in need. And I often think about the importance of responding as we're on that road to Jericho.
There you go. Come on.
Oh, the story. Okay, I'd say the Beatitudes, but that's a little flat. But the story is the woman at the well. the Samaritan woman at the well, because
Why?
what it's about is bridging divides between men and women, bridging divides between the belongers and the foreigners, bridging divides and asking each other for help. That to me is the essence of community and building a future together.
That's great. How about favorite saint?
Well, of course, St. Ignatius springs out for me because there's so much of how the spiritual exercises have definitely influenced my life.
Well, for you, Simone.
Well, okay, I'm Simone for Simon Peter. And quite frankly, I'm quite like Peter. I have a tendency to leap out of boats before I think, then get frightened and maybe sink a little bit. Or, be certain that I'd just be really fine in a situation and then sort of forget my anchor or my values. So for me, Peter, I would think is what can I say? Quite like him. A
There
big heart, but
you go.
kind of a failure periodically.
Thinking back to your earlier years in life, we won't even say younger years, just earlier years in life.
Where are we going?
What's something you wish you could have told your younger self, or you wish you would have known earlier in life, maybe about yourself or about the world, or?
Fear not. Fear not.
What about you, John?
Well, I think of, we have a long period of formation in the Jesuits, and I think from the day I entered in 1956 and all the way through until I reached theology, it was during those early years of formation that were too protective. I was able to spring forth, you might say, as a result of being given an opportunity to be with the people more in the communities and learn from them. I don't know, it's hard to say.
Yeah. We're in this really unique time right now in the world in terms of the pandemic and lots of other things happening in the world as well, but especially the pandemic. What's something that throughout all of this, something you've learned about yourself or about the world around you that you didn't realize pre-pandemic?
I didn't realize how tactile I am, how much I miss touching and hugging and embracing and being in presence of intimate spaces. I miss that a lot. And Zoom and
It's hard to hug
StreamYard
on.
and all this is, it's a poor facsimile. At least it's something.
Yeah.
But I miss the physicality.
What about for you, John?
I guess I've realized that as we get through this, there's really going to be we could call it the new normal, and I think in the new normal, people are going to be more aware of minorities, the issues that the poor are facing, and hopefully, as a result of some of these changes that are taking place as a result of what we're going through, people will be more aware, and hopefully our behavior will change. Although, was it John Carr? I just saw an interview with him. He said it's like we're in a biblical time with the pandemic and with the fires and with the storms and with people unemployed. It's hard to know what things are going to look like, come the first of the year.
That is. Speaking of that, what's something that what's a message you would like to send to those who are maybe just kind of starting out there vocations in life, maybe in young people, who have a desire to work for justice? What's the message you'd like to share with them?
Listen to the people.
And I would add, listen to the people and respond in the Spirit, because it's the Spirit. Trust the Spirit within. Just go for it. Just go for it.
That's great.
Because the people will lead you and draw you out, and you'll know together where to go.
And before we close, both of you, I really have enjoyed getting to know you even more over this time as we prepared for this event, and then continued preparing after we waited and moved to virtual. But one of the things that's unique about the two of you as honorees in the name of Bob Holstein is that John, you were present in some of those early Ignatian family teachings for justice, and Simone, you've played such an important role, in recent teachings, whether it's keynoting from the main stage or joining us out on Capitol Hill to fire up folks before they head into meetings with congressional members and things like that. What's a memory of Simone? You already shared one, but what's a memory of the teach-in or something that touches you about your experiences with the teach-in?
Before the tent, Bob Holstein would pull many of us together to go to Atlanta for the teach-in. And in the early days, it was very interesting. Bob had a real devotion to the Eucharist and to the Mass. And the first year, he would spread the word, come to my hotel room and we'll have Mass. So there'd be a small group of us. The second year, we had, word started to spread around. We had Mass. The third year, we had so many people coming that we ended up in the hallway in the hotel of several hundred people. And I said to Bob, and Bob would always say to me, John, just say the Mass, And I said, he said, I don't give a damn if the bishop doesn't like what we're doing. We're going to do this. But it was those early days of coming together that are just so precious that I think about it. And as a result of that, ISN was born. And look what you guys are doing, or what ISN is doing now. And I was privileged to be on the board right at the beginning. So I am just so grateful to ISN and what it's done over the years.
Yeah.
And I would say mirroring that is at the ISN now, at the teach-in now. It's that same energy of discovery, of possibility, of intense conversation among young people, of finding new ways forward, sharing hope, thinking of the martyrs, engaged with this new discovered passion for justice. I feel called back to my younger self, but it's very clear I'm not my younger self because I have to go to bed earlier than they do. But the energy and the commitment is the same. And I feel so grateful for your work in nourishing that and creating relationships all across the country that make it possible for young people to take a step towards a life committed to justice. Wow, what more can we ask for? Thank you for that work, Chris, and for your whole team that makes that happen. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Thanks, Simone. And we're excited, of course, in this pandemic reality, we'll be inviting people to join us virtually, and we're excited to share. We have over 5,000 people registered for the teach-in already for this next month. So new ways of seeing hope and being hopeful. So, well, again, I want to say thank you to you, Sister Simone and Father John, for your work for justice and for joining us this evening. We're so grateful for that, and just honored to be a part of your work and to celebrate your work. And so thank you very much. Before I turn it back over to our board chair, Vince Capone, I just want to offer, on behalf of our staff of 8 lay people and many volunteers and interns that are a part of our work, I want to offer our heartfelt congratulations to all of our awardees, to Pico, California, to Will and Elena, and of course to Father John and Sister Simone. And thank you for all of your work for justice and for being here with us tonight. We're so grateful to be able to celebrate you. So thank you very much. And now I'll turn it back over to Vince.
Well, thank you, Chris, and Sister Simone and Father Baumann. I want to take the opportunity to urge you once again to give to the Fund Our Future by scanning this QR code with your cell phone or going to sol.net/fund to make a gift. On behalf of the many students and families who benefit from your help, thank you for your support of this important work. We are grateful for your presence with us this evening. And, do what you can. And while I have your attention, we would love to invite you to the first virtual Ignatian Family Teach-In for Justice from October 19th to the 26th, joining the largest annual Catholic social justice gathering from a screen near you. The teach-in is open to advocates of all ages. Join us for these incredible speakers, including Father Brian Massengale, Olga Segura, Mauricio Lopez, Father Greg Boyle, Father James Martin, Bishop Mark Seitz, and Sister Helen Prejean. Lots of exciting speakers, and you can register at ignatiansolidarity.net/IFTJ. Thank you again to tonight's sponsors for their contribution to help make this event and our work possible. Grateful for their generosity and support, especially during this crucial and difficult time. I also appreciate their flexibility throughout the planning process and in-person April event to the virtual event that we've witnessed tonight. A special thank you again to Loretta Holstein, wife of the late Robert M. Holstein, for standing with Bob in your combined work for justice and continuing on his legacy, and that work through your support and championing of ISN. We are eternally grateful for you and your friendship. And thank you for your presence and support this evening and your continued support for the work of justice. It is a powerful reminder of the presence of God in this work toward building a more just world. Thank you for your efforts and your support. As we close this evening, Spirit, I am pleased to welcome Sister Celeste Arbuckle, Director of the Office of Faith Formation for the Archdiocese of San Francisco, to offer our closing prayer.
Let us gather in prayer this evening. O Holy Wisdom, you gather us in this evening tide, and we have recognized your blessings in these amazing people and the work that they do. You give us the energy to hope. You have renewed our challenge for justice, a justice for human dignity and a justice for systemic change, justice for the voiceless, the abandoned, the widow, the orphan, for the many families who have given up hope and need to hold on to something, for the imprisoned and the persecuted. For all these works, we cry out as you do. Come as you always do, and bless us on this journey of justice. Our awardees have encouraged us with their stories and lives. And this evening, we carry your light in the silence of our hearts and in the actions that we do. The justice and hope that we pray tonight and hold on to Amen. So be it. Go forth.